Hello, Facebook family and friends. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This beautiful, what it looks like going to be chilly Friday night in December. My name is Assemblywoman Suzette Martinez Valladares, and you'll notice that I dropped the elect there on Assemblywoman. This past Monday, I was officially sworn into office. So it's a very exciting time for me. It's such a vital and important time to be our community's voice and representative for the 38th Assembly District. A little bit about myself for those of you who have never met me before, for those of you who have never met me before but may have even voted for me. My name is Suzette Martinez Valladares. I'm a Southern California girl, was born in Silmar, but I really grew up in Santa Clarita. My first job was, like so many of yours, at Six Flags Magic Mountain. I was a ride operator on the jet stream, and it was an amazing experience. I went to College of the Canyons, Cal State Northridge, and I actually worked for Congressman Buck McKeon. I started off as an intern in Buck's office and then was a district manager in his district office here in Santa Clarita. Man, let me just tell you a little bit about how amazing of a time and experience it was working for Buck's office. I actually at that time had a niece that was diagnosed as severely developmentally delayed, nonverbal, and on the autism spectrum. And seeing my little niece be diagnosed, seeing her be immersed in early intervention services, and seeing her turn into a little chatterbox who I joke, it's not a joke actually, because it was an amazing thing to see before my eyes. She's a chatterbox that has not stopped talking, and she is amazing. She's going to actually be 15 next month in January. That catapulted my nonprofit career, where I was spent over the last decade advocating for the early childhood education community, the autism community, and most recently was brought back to early childhood education as CEO of Little Steps of Faith Preschool. And this past November 3rd, I was overwhelmingly elected to be your voice here in the 38th Assembly District, which includes Agua Dulce, Santa Clarita, Simi Valley, Chatsworth, Granada Hills, a little bit of Northridge as well. And I think we might even have 2 houses in Silmar, my old stomping grounds. As I mentioned, I was sworn in on Monday, and it was a swearing in unlike any other swearing in that has taken place in California in really about 100 years. We actually were sworn in at the Golden One Stadium in Sacramento, where the Kings play, but for me, go Lakers. And we were only allowed to bring ourselves in. We weren't on the assembly floor. We couldn't bring our family, but my husband and my daughter Charlotte did drop me off for my first day of work to be sworn in as your state assemblywoman on Monday. So take a look at my Twitter account, and even here on Facebook, you'll see some of those cool photos of what was a very bittersweet but really great day to be sworn in as your assemblywoman. That very first day, man, I along this past 2 years have talked to you guys. I like to wear coats that are 3/4 sleeve. Today I'm not wearing one because I joke that when my sleeves are already rolled up and I'm ready to get to work. And Monday I got to work. I actually presented 2 bills. AB 90, and I promise not to talk in funny letters and numbers moving forward, but if you're going to search for it online, you can find it as AB 90. For those of you who know me, you know that as a child, my neighbors took in foster youth. So I had the privilege and honor of living next to many children in the foster system that became my friends. I learned so much about what children in the system have to go through, and how easily they had been taken advantage of, even after they were already in the foster system. So one of the very first pieces of legislation that I introduced on Monday was AB 90, and it has to do with consumer credit reports and really protecting our foster youth. We've found that foster youth are 38 more times more likely to have their identity and financial information stolen before the time that they are 18 years old. So already they're at a disadvantage after leaving the system at 18 years old from a financial perspective. So what this bill will do is actually extend
a credit freeze so that their social security numbers and identity cannot be stolen or used. It's going to extend it from 16 years to 18 years. And it's a small step of what we can do to help ensure that our foster youth's financial futures are being started off on a strong foot. So I was really excited to introduce and sign that first piece of legislation as my very first piece on Monday. My second piece of legislation was AB 91, and it really is meant to just start giving some of our small businesses reprieve. Many of you know, again, I recently left as CEO of a nonprofit preschool, which is a small business. I understand what it's like to be a small business, and I understand what it's like to be a small business during these COVID days. Restaurant owners who have opened and closed and opened and closed. I understand, how hard it is to make payroll. I understand how much increased costs are occurring because you're trying to make your products, your services, and your employees operate and work safely. There are so many costs that go in just generally into a small business, but COVID has added a whole other layer of cost and complications. So what AB 91 is going to do is going to reduce the small business franchise tax fee from $800 for our small and micro-sized businesses to $400 and $200. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you're running a small business, every dollar counts, especially during these COVID times. So if we can find any way to save any of our small businesses some more money, allow you to keep more capital in your pocket, I'm going to do that. And that's what AB 91 tries to accomplish. Really, exciting week for me as well, meeting with my colleagues across the aisle, even here in our 38th Assembly District with one of our state senators, Senator Scott Wilk, talking about how we can get families, individuals back to work, how we can get kids back to school, how we can get businesses open safely and responsibly. And lastly, just really kind of digging into the outrageous fraud and the outrageous inefficiencies that are happening at EDD. One of my first pieces of legislation and act as a co-author was with Senator Wilk. Again, this is to tackle the fraud, and this is to prevent identity theft from happening. As many of you know, a whole lot of things are going on with EDD, and we've got to get to the bottom of this. It's what I'm committed to doing. But just off the top, we know that over $400 million have been fraudulently collected by criminals in the prison system here in California. And that's got to stop. There are people who have been waiting months that are trying to pay their rent, that are trying to put food on the table, who EDD has failed, and that's got to stop. And lastly, or in addition, not even lastly, one of the other things is that EDD was sending out financial information, which makes those who have been applying for EDD, makes their identity open to fraud and makes their financial stability even harder. So it was a great piece of legislation that I was happy to work on with our Senator Scott Wilk. I've also began some conversations and taken some calls, as well as emails from our local constituents and friends and neighbors, as well as mayors and local elected officials about what we can do for a variety of those topics I started to talk about, but also about the public safety power shutoffs. We're going into, for me, I think it's about year 4 now of these public safety power shutoffs. And man, I know what it's like to go without power. We lived on a well with a septic tank. And if you don't have electricity, you're not taking a shower, your pump isn't working if you live in a rural part of the district. And then we've added this whole other layer of COVID, which makes, just living more complicated. So, man, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more in a minute, but I was really excited to talk to our Mayor Keith Mashburn about this with the city manager. And then immediately the next morning, take some of the questions to Edison the very next morning to talk about what's going on in our district in Simi Valley and Agua Dulce. And we're going to actually be putting together a broader, larger meeting to talk about those PSP events. I'm going to take a look here at, because this is supposed to be a town hall. It's my first town hall as your Assemblywoman. So I'm going to look at, or actually before, I'm going to look at some of these questions that are coming in here. But I do want you to know how you can get a hold of me. You know, I'm going to be one of the hardest working representatives you have ever had. And I also want to be one of the most accessible representatives you have ever had. So if you are having issues with EDD, if you just want to shoot me over an email, I'm going to put that here at the bottom. You can email me at assemblymember.valladares@asm.ca.gov. You can also contact me at our district office, and that number is 661-286-1565. You can also contact me at our webpage, which is now up, and that is /AD38 dot. I'm gonna wait for it to scroll back right here. Actually, no, it's actually https://AD38.asmrc.org/. That's a long one. I probably won't memorize that one. I'll Google it moving forward. Joking. So we do have some questions here that I want to kind of go through. I did notice, when we announced that we were going to be doing a town hall, that there was some of you that had already hopped on and started to put some of your story around the PSPS. And I'm going to start referring to the PSPS as Public Safety Power Shutoff. So if you hear me saying PSPS, it's the public safety power shutoffs and how that's affecting you and impacting your family, your livelihood, your children's education. Thank you for sharing those stories. It really helps me when I go and I come to the table again with Edison to say, hey, this is how it is impacting our community. These are the answers that we need. This is what we got to do. It helps me. So please connect with me during that. So my first question here is from Joe, and it says, hi, Suzette. I was driving around Simi Valley on Monday night, and it was downright ridiculous how Southern California Edison turned off power to large portions of our city. Tapo Canyon, which was pitch black, and I was already through Tapo Canyon and Alamo intersection when I realized that I was what I just drove through. It was very dangerous. What are you doing to stop the nonsense? We don't live in a third world country. This is actually the very conversation that I had with Mayor Mashburn. And, it gets dark. I think the blinds are down right now, but it's dark outside. It's almost 6 o'clock. It starts to get dark at 4:30. And you're absolutely right. It is a public safety hazard, especially on our high traffic intersections. At prime time traffic hour, now I know less people are on the street, but it doesn't matter. There's still enough people on the street, whether they're crossing the street, whether they're driving. And if intersections are down, it creates a hazardous and potentially lethal condition. It's a question that I'm going to ask Southern California Edison about. We cannot, put the public in danger this way. So it's a great question, Joe. It's something that I'm going to be tackling, and one of the questions I'm going to be asking. Benny, thank you so much for your congratulations. I appreciate your congrats. I know you sent me an email too. A lot here, guys, about Southern California Edison. So please continue to send me your stories. I hear you. I'm living it with you. Our power has been out. I get it. And if you live in a rural area, not only is your power out, you can't use the restroom, but your cell service is out too. So if there was a fire, I know many people have expressed, and I've felt that fear of, if there is a fire, how am I going to get out of here? How am I going to know that there's a fire? How am I going to know that it's time to evacuate? These are all really phenomenal questions that we have to find solutions to, and time is of the essence. So I thank you for tuning in about that. I know, Danielle, is that how you say it? Danielle? Oh, that's a new way of spelling it. Haven't seen that. Thank you so much. I'm glad to be representing you too. And let me scroll up here. Charlene had a question. Charlene Duzick, or actually this is Jason Gibbs. Oh, congratulations. This is our new councilman, Jason Gibbs. He was just sworn in to represent the city of Santa Clarita on Monday. Congratulations, Jason Gibbs. I'm looking forward to working with you on a variety of issues that impact our community. And Jason says here, Charlene Duzick, great question. So I think Charlene asked a question. These are broad strokes coming out of Sacramento, and our county is limiting our local government's ability to safely open these economic sectors and allow people to maintain their livelihoods. What can be done to allow opportunity to innovate and empower our businesses to stay open? Well, Jason, that is a really, phenomenal question. And the one thing, again, as a small business owner, I understand most is how difficult it is to operate in these COVID times. And I just want to share a few resources with you that I think are vital and that everyone should know about. One of the first things I would encourage everyone to do is you can go to my website at ad38.asmrc.org. You can also just Google Assemblywoman Suzette Valladares and my website should pop up. And there's going to be resources on that page for you, whether it's about coronavirus, whether it is about coronavirus, COVID-19, what are we calling it now? COVID-19, whether it's power shutoffs, or even some resources for small businesses. What I immediately want to put on your radar is some of the SBA services the Small Business Administration is offering to our local businesses here in the 38th Assembly District. You can go to the SBA website. You can go to my website. One of the things that they have is, the SBA has, is a COVID-19 loan program. They have the Paychecks Protection Program, and there are modifications that are being made to that. It's my understanding that more funding may be available, and I understand that this is federal, but more money may be available for PPP and other programs, hopefully sooner rather than later. One of the other things I know that some of my other small business owner friends have done is they've taken out economic disaster loans that are very low interest. And our office, if you want to call my office, send us an email, we can help you, guide you in that right direction. Please do not hesitate to reach out. Another thing that I want to make you guys aware of is something new that I learned about is a bridge loan program. And for those of you that are in retail or have to collect sales tax, the Bridge Loan Program is a California state program that small businesses can utilize and allows you to keep up to $50,000 of your sales tax as a loan. So it's a great option for you if you've already collected and you haven't sent in some of your sales tax dollars, then you can actually keep that. Contact our office and we can get you more information about that as well. And then honestly, just supporting and being in communication with our community leaders who have been very innovative during these COVID times, especially here in our community in the 38th Assembly District. Supervisor Catherine Barger has been very open to suggestions and creativity, as well as all of our city council members in both Simi Valley and Santa Clarita, who I continue to work with to make sure that I am being as supportive as possible to our local governments and really our local businesses. That's a great question, Jason. Thank you for asking it. And I want to scroll back up here because I think that, Alan says, hardest working assemblywoman, right on. That's right, I'm gonna be the hardest working assemblywoman you've ever had. So Anthony asked, how do you plan to support people in the district? Well, right off the bat, as I mentioned, I'm gonna be one of the hardest working representatives you have ever met. And that I started off on day one by introducing two pieces of really good legislation that are going to help our community. I want to be also truly in tune with your needs. I want to know what you're thinking. I want to know any bill ideas that you have. I want you to send those over to me. I want to represent our community's voice because there's no other district like the 38th Assembly District. We are special. We are unique, and our issues in our community are different, and I understand our issues. And I also need you to reach out to me, though, and share your story and your ideas. And lastly, we're going to be one of the most accessible offices ever. You call us now. We were ready day one, but you call us now. We've actually already received quite a few emails. Again, these are regarding the public, the PSPS shutoffs. Clint from Agua Dulce. Thank you so much for reaching out to us to tell us his story about losing power, about how that's affecting. He's taking college coursework right now, and it's affecting his GPA because attendance is part of his grade. And if you don't have power, you don't have internet. His wife actually also happens to be a counselor, and she's had to reschedule several appointments for her patients because she hasn't had internet access. That's just one email. We have another email from Shelly, again from Agua Dulce, who's a business owner. And let me read you a little bit of Shelly's email. So since my business is down 52%, business is down. Her business is down, and it's down 52% because of the shutoffs, and she can't afford a generator. One other thing I do want to let you guys know is that Southern California Edison does have grant programs for generators, and they are offering $600 as a rebate if you've already bought a generator. So make sure that you're going to the SCE website for any rebates, whether it's groceries that have spoiled in your refrigerator. Make sure you're keeping your receipts. Whether you bought a generator, keep that receipt, submit that. And I'm going to have my staff team make sure that they're entering a lot of the links to information about public safety power shutoffs, about claims. If you follow me on some of my other platforms too, I'm putting that information up there so that you can utilize that. Shelly, thank you so much for reaching out. I really do hear you, and I appreciate you reaching out to our office. Let me go back up here one more time, see if there's any more questions. So what additional things do you plan to do? This was Charlene's question. What additional things do you plan to do to help our small businesses that are hurting? We're hurting. I hear you. And that was one of the reasons why, I wanted right off the bat, my team and I met and said, what can we do to help small businesses now? And one of those things that we can do is, minimize or reduce that small business franchise tax fee that's collected. It's $800 that's collected every year. And man, if you can keep a little bit more money in your pocket, or you don't have that money, it's gonna be really benefit you in small business. We just want to get as much capital in our businesses' bank accounts and have them retain that now. Great question. So here are some. These things go so fast. These town halls. I really enjoy you being here, supporting me, asking your questions. But what else can I do? How else can I help our community? If you are having problems with EDD, if you haven't received your check, if you're having a problem getting your real ID over at DMV, pretty much any state agency that is just not being fast enough for you, or really frankly doing their job because of the inefficiencies that we see in government, please reach out to my office. We can help you. Again, you can call us at 661-286-1565. You can go to our website, or you can email me at assemblymember.valladares@asm.ca.gov. We are here to listen. We are here to help. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. This is something that I promised early on. COVID is not going to stop me from connecting with each and every one of you as frequently and as often as we can. So we will continue to do these Facebook virtual town halls. There's going to be some other mediums that we're going to be using too to stay in communication. But I just want to encourage you to reach out to me. I'm here to help. I'm here to represent our community. I'm here to be a voice, and a strong voice, and a voice that's going to fight for you. So thank you so much for tuning in tonight. Hope to see you guys all soon. Submit questions for the next town hall as well, and we'll make sure we get some information out to you about the next one soon. See you guys.